Howdy everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a walk around of my 2002 Ford F-150 with the 4.2 liter V6 with 334,000 miles. Everything is original other than some aftermarket parts and some just general maintenance that I've replaced on the engine, but the engine is still the original engine with a lot of religious maintenance done to it, and it's been a fantastic truck for me so far. Let's go ahead and turn it on and get right into it. Switch hands here. And you can see the odometer right there. So there it is, 334,118 miles. Let's go ahead and pop the hood here, and just a brief overview of the interior. My bad. Aftermarket deck, some auxiliary lighting. Custom made that piece right there, and everything else is pretty much original except for the seat. I bought this off my uncle a few years ago, and he uses this as daily driver for years, so the driver's seat, all the springs and everything underneath were all broken, and it wasn't very comfortable to sit in. So I went to the junkyard and pulled this one. It's not an exact match, and it's definitely not as comfortable, but it works. It was a power seat that I had to do. I had to take off a bunch of stuff, but anyway, we got the hood popped. As you can hear, it runs pretty quiet. And here she is. So I just did an oil change on this thing yesterday, and everything is good. I do have a small oil leak, so it's always a little bit less on oil, but in the last couple months I had to do some major replacing of parts here. So I have a new AC dryer, a new AC compressor, and I'm not sure if you can see that down there, but there's a new water pump as well, and an idler pulley. So still running pretty good. There's some exhaust leaks. I'm not really sure where exactly it is. I know there's a small little pinhole in the muffler, and one of the clamps is leaking a little bit, so I need to go in there and fix that, but it hasn't really caused me that much of a problem. On the front here, I have some eBay cheapy lights, and my uncle already did the four-wheel drive valence swap, so I have the fog lights, which is really nice. I replaced this hood. It's just a junkyard hood that I pulled, paid $50 for it, and it looks a lot better. There was some damage done here to the fenders and the hood at one point. I think it drove through a fence or something like that, so there was some homemade body work done, and the hood looked pretty bad, so I feel like that was worth $50. My wheels and tires, I'm running American Racing Baja 16 by 8 matte black wheels. It's pretty hard to find wheels for these trucks because it's a 5 by 135 lug pattern, not like a 5 by 5.5 or something like that. So options are kind of limited, but I like it. It's kind of a classic look. And then for my tires, I'm running a Goodyear Wrangler Ultra Terrain AT tire. It's an exclusive at Discount Tire, and I've got a couple of videos about these. I'll link them in the description. But it's a 265, 75, 16 light truck tire. I love these things. Any weather, it just goes. Never get stuck, anything like that. And being a two-wheel drive truck, it's kind of nice having a more aggressive tire for situations that you might need more grip. So For the suspension, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. Maybe we can hear it a little bit better. But for the suspension, about a year ago, I went through and put in all new ball joints, upper and lowers, and I did tie rods as well. And then I also did my sway bar end links. I just did stuff from Napa. I didn't splurge for the Moog ones necessarily. I didn't really feel like there was a big advantage other than like grease fittings, and these trucks kind of burn through them quick, relatively quick. So I figured it probably wasn't worth spending the extra money, but I think those are energy suspension sway bar end links, so those are polyurethane versus like rubber or something like that, and I like those a lot. So I did that about a year ago. I just put new shocks on this thing maybe a month and a half ago. Just some cheap eBay ones. It was like $70, but it makes the ride so much nicer. As you can see, it's got your typical dents and scratches. I do use this as a work truck. I haul a lot of scrap metal and move a lot of stuff with it. So, yeah, as you can see, bed liner it's pretty dirty in here, and there's some cracks and stuff, but it does its job. Tailgate, I just repaired that the other day, but I'll get to that. And then here, there's a bunch of just paint damage and small dents and stuff like that. And I'm okay with it. This truck is still really clean for its age. So back here, this is a project that I haven't finished yet, but I cut some holes in the bumper here for new reverse lights. I have those sitting at home. I've just been procrastinating. Up here, some paint damage. Everything is still pretty clean though. So for this tailgate, I just replaced this backing panel the other day. So a while ago, this trim piece popped off, and then this metal plate was just left like exposed. And since I'm moving stuff a lot with this truck, the see how it's kind of bending up right here? This was like completely bent up, and it was really just making me mad. So I actually found this back plate on the side of the road. Like, I was just driving by and I saw it, and I was like, there's no way that's actually what it is. And so I got that for free. Went to a pull-apart yard and pulled this piece of trim off there. I put a few just random bolts I have to kind of hold that piece on better, and then put that new backing plate on, and it works real good. Trailer hitch, I pull trailers with this thing. It's not the most powerful for that, but it definitely gets the job done. And up under here, I've done one small exhaust modification. So this is a full-size spare, and so instead of, like, I think it's a 255 or 245 that's what's supposed to come on this truck, that's a 265, and it just barely fits, and the exhaust wouldn't clear that. So I just took an angle grinder and chopped that off, and you can see the new shocks I have back there. I've changed the pumpkin oil, or the differential oil back there. I believe I used Lucas 75 W130. I'm not really sure, but new seal and all that. Hasn't been leaking, so does a great job. And this is an open differential, not a limited slip. My other truck had a limited slip in the back, and that was really nice. But get what you can get. I think that's about it. So this truck, from my understanding, has had 3 sets of intake manifold gaskets. These things like to go through those a lot. I'm not really sure when mine are going to go again, but I'm just going to keep going until it does. The other issue that I've started having with this truck is the transmission. It's the original transmission. and I'm not really sure when it's ever been serviced. So it still drives fine. It still goes through all the gears perfectly. It doesn't grind or anything, but I've just noticed it's getting a little bit sloppy with the gear changes, and there was a couple days to where I felt like I was missing a gear, like it would just get stuck in a gear and just keep driving in that gear, and I'd slow down and keep doing it again over and over again, and it eventually fixed itself, sort of. So transmissions for these are really cheap, like at salvage yards, like you can get them for less than 200 bucks. But I am planning on doing a transmission fluid replacement and a new filter, and see if maybe that helps, and possibly an upgraded transmission cooler, just get a bigger one, since I'm towing trailers and I put a lot of miles on this thing. So just trying to keep all that healthy and looking good. So I really hope that, you know, maybe not a helpful video, but at least interesting for people who have the same type of truck. My advice to get your truck or vehicle just up to high mileage is to change the oil every 5,000 miles, and just just keep doing general maintenance stuff. Like I've done spark plugs and wires and all that kind of stuff. Don't neglect your vehicle. That's the fastest way to cost you a bunch of money. Maintenance is cheap in the long run, as long as you do it before something breaks. And as long as you don't neglect it, you should be totally fine. So that's about it. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, and gig 'em.